Hello, Wildcats. This is Mr. Goff. Now, we all know that everything in the universe that we can see and touch is made of matter. And we know that matter is made up of molecules. And those molecules are made up of elements. And those elements are made up of tiny particles called atoms. But did you ever wonder who came up with the word atom? And where did that thought first arise? Well, today I'm going to read a chapter to you from one of my favorite books, and this is a book called The Story of Science by Joy Haycom. And this chapter that I'm going to share with you today is chapter 10 called Getting Atom. I would rather understand one cause than be king of Persia, said Democritus, who was born about 100 years after Pythagoras. We think in 460 BCE. Now, the king of Persia had about as much power as anyone could have, and he was fabulously wealthy too. So only those who understood the power of ideas would get what Democritus was saying. Some people probably laughed when they heard his comment and noted that Democritus was born in Thrace, which was an unfashionable, out-of-the-way place for a philosopher. What can you expect from someone born in Thrace, they may have said. Thrace was west of the Black Sea and north of the Aegean, and it was not a center of philosophy as Athens and Samos were. Some people used to chuckle if you said you were from Thrace, but that never stopped Democritus, who was another powerful thinker. Democritus believed that to understand the universe, you had to know what it was made of. The Ionians had come up with those four basic elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Democritus thought there must be something still smaller, something that unified the elements, something they all had in common. He said there had to be a smallest substance in the universe that can't be cut up or destroyed and is basic to everything else. He called that small substance an atom. Nothing exists, said Democritus, but atoms and the void. The atoms that Democritus had in his mind were solid, hard, and compact. Nothing could penetrate them, and they were too small to be seen. Much of what we know of Democritus is hearsay. Except for a few words, his writings have been lost. In those days, before printing, all books had to be hand-copied, so there weren't many copies. We do know that he traveled widely, to Egypt and to the lands east of Greece. He is said to have lived a long life and to have written 73 books. Was he right? Is there a basic building block of life? A smallest of the small out of which comes everything? It's a question we're still considering. The Greek believers in atoms had no way to prove that those tiny particles actually existed. Microscopes and other scientific technology were far in the future, so they relied on their brains, using them in ways that still astound us. How do you explain change in a substance when you add or subtract energy? Heating a liquid, for example. The Greeks inferred that atoms existed and that atomic action and reaction helped account for change. Their information was scattered but promising, and then, for religious and cultural reasons, scientific progress stopped for almost 1,000 years. Besides, brains and imagination can only take you so far in science, and then you hit a wall. Without the technology to experiment and test, you can't confirm your theories. That was the problems the Greeks faced. They didn't seem to be any place to go with science. Democritus was astonishing, but he couldn't prove his ideas. No one knew if they were right or wrong. It was hopeless to look for atoms. If they existed, they were too small to be seen. In studying the stars with your naked eye, you missed most of the universe. So the next generations headed in a different direction. They began to study human emotions and thought. The Ionian idea that the universe is knowable and follows orderly laws men and women can understand, that idea was mostly set aside to be rediscovered 1,000 years later. Almost all of the books written by the Ionians were lost or destroyed. Their ideas have come to us in fragments or in the writings of others. Socrates, who was called the wisest man in the world by the oracle at Delphi, turned from physical science to a study of the human soul. Know thyself, he told his followers. Those words, which may have come from the oracle, are good advice, but they don't do much for scientific research. Democritus is said to have gone to Athens to meet Socrates. They were only 5 years apart in age. But when he got there, he was too shy to introduce himself. Too bad. Socrates never got interested in atoms. Neither did his famous student Plato or Plato's famous student Aristotle. They all thought that the elements could be cut up endlessly and that you'd never get anything else. They didn't believe there was any underlying basic particle. They thought earth, air, fire, and water were as basic as you could get. Democritus's hard, impenetrable atoms didn't have much appeal. Aristotle was born when Democritus was a very old man, became the most renowned of all the Greek scientists. He was an organizer, a classifier, and an original thinker too, but he never believed in atoms. That finishes this chapter for today. All right, hopefully everyone is staying safe. Take care, and we'll see you in the classroom soon.